At dinner, my father leaned across the table, his tone almost casual. "You're not invited to Christmas this year." The air froze. My mom's hand trembled against her glass. My sister Claire smirked like she'd been waiting for this victory. They thought I'd argue, beg, maybe even cry. Instead, I placed my fork down, slid my phone from under the table, and tapped 3 times. The $19,000 Park City cabin, the luxury trip they were planning to enjoy without me, was gone. Canceled. The money rushed back into my account as quietly as a breath. They didn't notice a thing, still basking in their cruelty. But by morning, panic would light up their phones, and by the end of the month, every lie they'd told would be stripped bare. Because that night they didn't cut me out of Christmas. I erased theirs. Before I take you back to how it all started, drop a comment telling me where you're watching from. I love seeing the different places people tune in. And if you've ever felt pushed aside in your own family, hit that like button so I know I'm not alone. Don't forget to subscribe because the way this story unfolds will hit harder than you expect. It wasn't always like this. There was a time I thought loyalty meant sacrifice, that family was something you poured yourself into without expecting much in return. And maybe that's how they trained me slowly, little by little, until giving felt natural and receiving felt selfish. My name is Emily Carter. I'm 28 and I've built my life brick by brick in an industry that doesn't hand out favors. Logistics isn't glamorous. It's early mornings, endless spreadsheets, deadlines that breathe down your neck like wolves. But it's also precision order and control things I craved in a world where my own family thrived on chaos. I started as a receptionist, answering phones for 12 hours a day, eating vending machine lunches. Now I'm a senior project manager overseeing contracts worth millions. I know the exact value of my time, my skills, my decisions. The irony. At home, they acted like I was worth nothing. Let me paint the picture. My dad, John Carter, 53, runs a small accounting firm that always teeters between modest success and quiet disaster. He loves appearances more than reality, the shiny BMW he can't afford, the tailored suits that hide overdue bills, the swagger of a man pretending to be Warren Buffett in a strip mall office. To outsiders, he's a respected professional. To me, he's ego wrapped in debt. Then there's my mom, Linda. She's 49 and has made an art out of smoothing things over. She hates confrontation the way some people hate snakes. If Dad is gasoline, she's the damp towel trying to smother every flame, usually by smothering me in guilt. Her favorite phrase, "Don't upset your father." Not, "Are you okay?" Not, "That wasn't fair." Just instructions on how to keep the peace by silencing myself. And then, Claire, my sister, 25 with the emotional maturity of a teenager and the spending habits of a celebrity. She majored in creative wellness at a liberal arts college that cost more than my first year's salary, and she's never managed to keep a job longer than 3 months. Yet somehow, she always has the newest iPhone, salon-perfect nails, and handbags that scream 4 figures. Her secret A family that funds her lifestyle and calls it support. Guess who they tapped to provide that support? It started so small I didn't even notice. I was 23, fresh out of college, working my first real job. Dad called late one night, voice heavy. "Sweetheart, it's just a temporary cash flow problem. If I can't cover payroll, the whole firm could collapse. Can you help me out just this once?" Of course I said yes. He was my dad. I wired over $5,000, half my savings. He never paid it back. Not a dollar. Not even an acknowledgement. Then came Mom. Her sister was recovering from surgery in California, and she wanted to fly out. She promised it was just a one-time favor, that Dad was stressed and couldn't handle another bill. I booked her flights, her hotel, even slipped in a little spending cash because I didn't want her to feel like a burden. She came back with souvenirs, smiling ear to ear, never once mentioning repayment. And Claire. She was a constant storm. Spring car repairs, summer overdue rent, fall a self-care retreat for her mental health, winter Christmas shopping sprees she swore she'd budgeted for. Each season another crisis. Each time my phone would buzz and like clockwork I'd cave. I told myself it was fine. I made good money, 500 here, 1,000 there, what did it matter? But what I didn't see then was the shift. At first, they asked with humility, Later, it became entitlement. If I hesitated even for a second, I'd hear it. But you're the successful one, Emily. You can handle it. We're family, aren't we, family? They used that word like a weapon. Not to bring us closer, but to chain me down. I wasn't a daughter anymore. I was their personal ATM. The worst part, no matter how much I gave Claire, was always the star. When she quit her boutique job because the manager didn't understand her creative vision, the family applauded her bravery. When I earned my first major promotion, Dad's response was, "Well, it's about time you did something worthwhile." Imagine working 12-hour days, building a life with sweat and grit, only to be invisible at your own family's table. To watch your sister get praised for quitting while your success was dismissed as overdue. It's not a single knife in the back, it's a slow bleed. Looking back now, I can see it clearly. Every check I wrote, every bill I covered, every time I stayed quiet while they overlooked me, it wasn't kindness. It was training. They were teaching me to accept invisibility, to carry their burdens without complaint, to make myself smaller so Claire could shine brighter. But I wasn't that 23-year-old anymore. I wasn't the girl desperate for approval, hoping that one day, if I just gave enough, they'd finally see me. I had changed. My career had taught me discipline, strategy, leverage. And soon my family would learn that I wasn't the weak link they thought I was. Because sacrifice only feels noble until you realize you're the only one making it. And I was done bleeding for people who called it love while they drained me dry. September had always carried a bite of change in the air, the evenings sharper, the daylight slipping away earlier. For me, last September was more than seasonal. It was the month my company announced my promotion. Senior project manager, one of the youngest in the firm's history. I had clawed my way up through late nights, forgotten weekends, carrying projects no one else dared touch. And when the email hit my inbox, I sat frozen at my desk, staring at my new title. For the first time, I felt undeniable no one could dismiss me as just responsible anymore. The pay raise was substantial. The performance bonus doubled my annual salary. And standing in that office badge, swinging against my blazer, I swore I'd finally do something to make my family see me. Not through the lens of their entitlement, not as the walking credit card, but as someone who could create joy. That's how Park City was born. I found the cabin by accident, a listing tucked into a luxury rental site, 4 bedrooms, floor-to-ceiling windows, overlooking snow-blanketed mountains, a gourmet kitchen, even a hot tub where the stars looked close enough to touch. The price tag, $19,000 for 1 week, more than some people earn in half a year. I clicked reserve without hesitation. It wasn't about me. I pictured Mom's face lighting up at the spa package I booked just for her. I imagined Dad at a wine tasting bragging to other vacationers about his refined palate, finally proud to call me his daughter. I even planned ski lessons for Claire, who had never set foot on a slope but loved the idea of posting about it. For once, I thought they would look at me and see more than responsibility. They would see the daughter who gave them magic. But fantasies have a cruel way of breaking. When I told Dad about the cabin, his reaction was a curt nod. About time you contributed something meaningful. That was it. Not thank you, not pride, just entitlement. Claire was worse. Within hours, she blasted Instagram with screenshots of the cabin captions dripping with fake humility. So blessed to manifest abundance. Grateful for family magic. To her friends, it looked like she had secured the entire trip herself. The first crack should have been obvious, but I ignored it. I thought once we're there, once they see every detail I've arranged, they'll understand, maybe even appreciate me. Then came the dinner. The table was set with roasted chicken and mashed potatoes, apple pie cooling on the counter. For a flicker of a second, it almost felt like the kind of family dinner I'd always wanted, warm, united, safe. But illusions shatter quickly. Claire scrolled her phone, giggling about ski outfits. Mom hummed approval. Dad smirked at her screen. I tried to join in, mentioning how I'd confirmed our steakhouse reservations. That's when Dad cut me off, eyes still fixed on Claire. "You're not coming on the trip," he said flatly. The words ricocheted in my skull. Not coming, I blinked. Immediate family only this year. You'll understand. Immediate family. The irony nearly knocked me out of my chair. I was the one who booked the cabin, paid for it, planned every second of it. And yet, I wasn't family. Claire smirked. No offense, M, but you ruin the vibe. This trip is supposed to be fun, not lectures. Lectures. That's what they called my boundaries. My insistence that rent be paid on time, that bills didn't magically cover themselves. I heard myself say it sharper than I meant. I booked the cabin. I paid for it. $19,000. Dad finally looked at me, expression annoyed, as if I were interrupting. Language, Emily. Yes, you handled logistics, but Claire is fragile right now. She needs family support. Your presence creates tension. Tension. That was the word they used for my existence. Mom nodded eagerly. Maybe it's for the best, honey. You work so hard. A quiet Christmas might help you relax. Something shifted inside me then. A cold, solid clarity. I stared at them, the father who used me, the mother who excused it, the sister who thrived on it, and I realized I wasn't invisible. I was dangerous to them, because if I stopped playing my role, their entire world collapsed. So I said the only word I could manage without shaking fine. They thought that meant surrender, that I would leave quietly, sulk, maybe beg later. But in my head, a plan was already forming. My career had taught me something vital. Logistics is strategy. It's about timing, precision, leverage. And I had all three. That night, I drove home in silence. My hands steady on the wheel, my mind racing. At my kitchen table, the cabin confirmation email glowed on my laptop. Dad's name as renter. My card as payment. My money. My rules. I hovered over cancel reservation. My pulse barely quickened as I clicked. Seconds later, a message appeared. Refund processed. $19,000 returned to my account. It was intoxicating, like breathing after drowning. With one click, their fantasy dissolved into nothing. But canceling was only step one. I poured a glass of wine, leaned back, and let the idea crystallize. They thought they had cut me out of Christmas. In reality, I had just cut the strings that kept them dancing. This wasn't heartbreak. This wasn't surrender. This was the breaking point, and the first move in a game they didn't even know they were playing. The next morning, my phone buzzed like a hornet's nest. 8 missed calls before I'd even finished my first cup of coffee. Voicemails stacked up, each one more frantic than the last. Dad's first, Emily. There's been some kind of error with the Park City booking. Call me immediately so we can fix it. Then, sharper. This isn't funny. Whatever game you're playing, stop now. People are depending on this trip. And finally, rage. You're embarrassing this family. End this nonsense or there will be consequences. Each message was sweeter than the last. For once, I wasn't scrambling to fix a crisis. I was the crisis. Then came Claire's texts, rapid-fire explosions on my screen. Are you serious right now? I already told my friends about Park City. They think I'm a liar. 1 minute later, you're ruining my reputation and my mental health. Do you even care? And then the crown jewel. Fine. Be a child about it. But you're paying for my therapy. This is traumatic. I actually laughed out loud. Therapy because I refused to fund a vacation she had exiled me from. The audacity could have powered a city. By noon, there was a knock at my door. I opened it to find my mother clutching a plate of still warm cookies. Her eyes were misty, her voice trembling like she'd rehearsed this in the car. Honey, I think there's been a terrible misunderstanding, she began softly. Your father didn't mean you weren't welcome. He's just worried about Claire's mental health. Smaller groups seemed easier. So, can you fix the Park City situation? I folded my arms. So am I invited again? Her smile flickered. Well, that depends. Claire's already promised her friends souvenirs and your father told his clients about the cabin. We can't let them down. People will think we're unreliable. There it was. The mask slipped. I wasn't wanted for myself. I was wanted for my wallet. And what if I don't fix it? I asked. For a split second, her face hardened. The softness drained away. Her voice was colder. Then you're choosing to hurt your family. Is that who you want to be? The selfish one. Selfish. After 7 years of carrying them, I was selfish. I didn't bother answering. I thanked her for the cookies, closed the door, and slid the deadbolt. Inside, I wasn't angry anymore. I was calm, focused, because canceling the cabin wasn't the end, it was only phase 1. That evening, I opened my laptop again. Years in logistics had taught me one lesson: never fight chaos with chaos, win with order, documentation, precision, receipts. I began screenshotting everything: Claire's Instagram posts bragging about the Park City trip, Dad's messages demanding I fix the booking mom's guilt-laced pleas. I saved the voicemail recordings, labeled and dated them like a corporate audit. It wasn't paranoia, it was preparation. Days later, the universe handed me more ammunition. A call from my bank, Ms. Carter, we flagged a suspicious transaction attempt, $19,000 to a Park City rental service. It was declined. Did you authorize this? My stomach went cold. My own father had tried to rebook the cabin using my card number saved from the original reservation. Fraud. Literal fraud. Not long after Uncle Jim called me. His voice was tight. Emily, did you know your dad asked me for $3,000, said it was for extras on the family trip. He swore he was covering the main cost, just needed help with flights and dinners. I trusted him. My jaw clenched. Dad wasn't just leeching off me, he was conning relatives too. Through Uncle Jim, I found out the full scale. Dad had borrowed $500 from Aunt Linda, won $200 from Cousin Mark, even $300 from Grandma, who lives on a fixed pension. Almost $6,000 siphoned through lies, painting himself as the generous provider. And Claire. She was feeding the fantasy online. Daily countdowns, 2 weeks until Park City magic. Stock photos of snowy streets, hashtags about being blessed. Her influencer friends flooded the comments with envy. Manifestation queen. She basked in attention built on a trip that didn't exist. Every post, every lie, I saved them all. Sitting at my desk one night, staring at the growing folder of evidence, something shifted inside me. This wasn't about revenge anymore. It was about truth. For years, they'd controlled the narrative: Emily the serious one, Emily the ATM, Emily the complication. Now I held the receipts that would flip the story upside down, and I knew exactly where to drop them. Uncle Jim mentioned that Dad had rented my apartment complex's clubhouse for Christmas Eve. He planned to host his business partners and clients there, boasting about the luxurious Park City getaway he'd funded. Claire was bringing a photographer friend to stage candid shots, pretending they'd just returned from the slopes. They wanted to perform a lie. Fine. I'd give them an audience. Quietly, I booked the same clubhouse for December 27th, 2 days after their charade. I sent invitations to the entire extended family, to Dad's clients, even to some of Claire's influencer friends. The invite was simple: post-Christmas family gathering. Exciting announcements for the new year, no details. Curiosity would do the rest. Meanwhile, I prepared. Slide by slide, I built a presentation. Proof of payment, the cancellation confirmation, Claire's fake posts, the bank's fraud alert, a breakdown of every dollar Dad had conned from relatives. I practiced my delivery like a boardroom pitch-calm professional, undeniable. They thought I was out of Christmas, but in reality, I was writing the script for their downfall. And when the curtain rose, they'd have no idea it was me holding the spotlight. If canceling the cabin had been a spark, the days that followed were gasoline. My family didn't confront reality, they doubled down on the fantasy. Claire's Instagram became a stage set built on lies. She posted countdowns 3 days until Park City bliss with glossy stock photos pulled from rental sites. She tagged ski brands in selfies taken from her bedroom mirror, pretending she was packing. Her captions dripped with the kind of smug spiritual fluff she'd mastered when you trust the universe it provides. Her friends flooded the comments with envy. Queen behavior, manifestation goddess, and she soaked it up, responding with fake humility. So grateful for my supportive family. Supportive. I almost choked. Meanwhile, Dad turned the family group chat into his brag board. He boasted about wine pairings for dinner at the lodge, hinted at networking opportunities with other successful vacationers. Mom added her syrupy encouragement heart emojis, so proud of us. Family is everything. Reading their words, you'd think the trip was alive and thriving, But I knew the truth. There was no Park City, no cabin, just a crumbling illusion they were desperate to keep standing. And desperation makes people reckless. 2 days after the cancellation, I got another fraud alert. Someone had tried to charge flights to my card flights to Utah. This time, the bank froze the attempt. I didn't need a name. I knew it was Dad. Then came the whispers from relatives. Aunt Linda texted me privately. "Did your father really pay for Park City? He asked me for $500 for ski rentals. Said he'd already covered the rest. Is that true?" I bit back the urge to vent and just asked, "How much did you give him?" One by one, the stories poured in. Cousin Mark, $1, $200 for flights. Grandma, $300 from her pension so the grandkids could have a magical Christmas. A neighbor he sometimes golfed with $800 for fine dining. My father was building his empire of lies on everyone else's wallet. And Claire, she was busy building hers on fake photos and hashtags. The audacity would have been infuriating if it wasn't so useful, because every post Claire made, every lie Dad told, every dollar they siphoned was another brick in the case I was building. I saved it all, screenshots, bank alerts, text threads. By now, my laptop looked less like a Christmas list and more like an evidence archive. And still they pressed harder. One night my phone buzzed with a long message from Mom, "Honey, please. This has gone too far. Your father's reputation is at stake. Claire's friends are watching. If people find out, it'll destroy us. Just rebook the cabin and everything will go back to normal. Don't punish the whole family for a misunderstanding." Misunderstanding. That was their favorite word, as if years of being drained, dismissed, and excluded could be brushed aside as a minor accident. I didn't reply. Not to her, not to Dad's angry calls, not to Claire's all-caps texts. "You're literally ruining my career." Silence was my weapon, and silence terrified them. But silence didn't mean inaction. I prepared, slide decks polished, evidence folders backed up in 3 places, invitations for December 27th confirmed, and then I waited. Christmas Eve arrived the night of their big show. From my apartment window, I could see cars pulling into the clubhouse lot, guests in suits and dresses carrying wine and gift bags. My father had gone all out, stringing lights along the balcony, hiring a caterer, renting a sound system. To anyone walking in, it looked like a family celebrating success. I stayed home, laptop open, watching Claire's Instagram stories roll in. She posed in a sequined dress beside the clubhouse fireplace, champagne glass, raised captioned, "Back from Park City and glowing." Her photographer friend snapped staged, candid shots of her laughing with Mom. Dad boomed in the background, toasting his incredible family vacation. It was theater, bad theater, and every post, every brag tightened the noose they'd built for themselves. At one point, Uncle Jim called me. His voice was strained. "Emily, are you really in Park City? Because your dad is telling everyone you just flew back. I know something's off. What's going on?" I smiled to myself. "Don't worry, Uncle Jim. Just come to the clubhouse on the 27th. Everything will make sense then." That night, as the party roared 2 buildings away, I rehearsed one last time. My slides clicked in sequence, booking confirmation, cancellation, refund, fraud alerts. Claire's fake posts, the tally of borrowed money. The evidence was bulletproof. They wanted applause. They would get exposure. And the best part, they didn't even see it coming. While they laughed and bragged, they thought they had won. But 2 days later, when the curtain rose, I'd be the one holding the spotlight. And for the first time in years, the truth, not their lies, would take center stage. December 27th arrived cold and sharp, the kind of winter day where your breath curls into the air like smoke. By mid-afternoon, the clubhouse was buzzing. Cars lined the lot, relatives carrying casseroles and bottles of wine. Dad's business associates in tailored coats, even a couple of Claire's influencer friends trailing tripods and ring lights. They thought they were walking into another family celebration. They had no idea they were walking into an unveiling. I wore black. Not mourning, not drama, just deliberate, clean, sharp. I greeted people, calmly smiled as if nothing were unusual, and guided them toward the buffet. Laughter and chatter filled the room. Dad shook hands like a politician, booming with fake warmth. Claire floated in wearing a white coat with fur trim, her photographer shadowing her every step. Mom flitted nervously between guests, passing out napkins like coupons. At exactly 3:00, I stood by the projector screen. Can I have everyone's attention? The chatter died. Heads turned. Dad's smile faltered just slightly. I want to clear up a little confusion about Christmas this year, I said, my voice steady. There are things you deserve to know. I clicked the remote. The first slide appeared the Park City booking confirmation. Dad's name listed as renter. My credit card charged $19,000. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Next slide, the cancellation email. Refund confirmed. $19,000 returned to my account on December 15th, the very day after I was told I wasn't invited. Whispers filled the room. Wait, what? You canceled it. Why would they? Claire's face went pale under her makeup. Emily, stop this. This isn't. I clicked again. Screenshots of Claire's Instagram filled the screen countdowns, stock photos of cabins, hashtags about manifesting abundance. As you can see, I said evenly, this entire online persona was built on a trip that never happened. Her photographer friend muttered, You lied! You staged all of this! His camera dropped from his hands with a clatter. Claire's voice cracked. It was just for content, click. The bank fraud alert appeared Dad's name stamped across the attempted $19,000 charge. Now the room went silent. Then came the slide, titled, The Family Fundraising Campaign. Text messages, voicemail transcripts, Venmo screenshots all projected larger than life. Uncle Jim's $3,000 loan. Aunt Linda's $500 for ski rentals. Cousin Mark's $100 or $200. Even Grandma's $300 scraped from her pension. A total tally of nearly $6,000. The room erupted. John, you told me you paid for everything, Uncle Jim shouted, face red. You scammed me out of $500, Aunt Linda snapped. One of Dad's business partners stood abruptly, voice ice cold. You bragged about funding a $19,000 cabin. You made me and my wife look like fools. We trusted you. Dad's mouth opened and closed like a fish gasping for air. I never said Park City specifically. Yes, you did. Another client cut in furious. You sent photos. You sold this as your treat. Claire tried to salvage it, her voice shrill. It's just a misunderstanding. We still had an amazing Christmas together. Location doesn't matter when there's family love. I clicked again. The final slide appeared grainy screenshots of a tiny $900 cabin near Denver, the real place they'd rented last minute after I canceled Park City. No lodge, no luxury, no spa, just a cramped, drafty rental. This, I said calmly, is where they actually spent Christmas, while lying to all of you, while borrowing money under false pretenses, while trying to steal from me. The effect was nuclear. Relatives shouted over one another, demanding repayment. Dad's business partners stormed out muttering about contracts and lawyers. Claire's influencer friends turned their ring lights off, disgust painted on their faces. You're a fraud, one snapped. You've ruined your credibility. Mom collapsed into a chair, tears streaking her mascara. Not the manipulative ones, but raw, broken sobs. Claire clutched her phone like it was a life raft mascara running her photographer already packing his gear. Dad stood stiff, jaw clenched, the swagger drained from him. And me, I stood steady. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't gloat. I simply let the truth burn them alive. By the time the crowd thinned, my family sat in ruins, their reputations shattered, their lies exposed. And I hadn't lifted a finger in anger. I'd only shown the receipts. I closed my laptop with a quiet click. The sound echoed like a gavel. For years, they had cast me as the complication, the invisible one, the ATM. But that night, I wasn't invisible. I was undeniable. The weeks after December 27th felt strangely quiet. For the first time in years, my phone wasn't buzzing with emergencies I had to fix. No more, Emily, can you cover this bill? No more guilt-drenched voicemails. Silence. And instead of feeling empty, it felt like breathing clean air after years of choking. The fallout spread quickly. Dad's accounting firm collapsed within months. His clients disgusted after the clubhouse fiasco pulled their contracts. Word traveled fast in a city where reputation is currency. The BMW was repossessed, the suits pawned. By spring, the swaggering man who once bragged about wine pairings was working temp jobs, the fire in his eyes replaced by something hollow. Mom aged in what felt like days. She had always smoothed over cracks, but now the dam had burst and there was nothing left to patch. She called me once, voice thin. I never wanted this to happen, Emily. I just wanted us to be whole. I almost felt sorry for her. Almost. But then I remembered the cookies, the way she called me selfish for refusing to be their doormat, and the sympathy evaporated. And Claire. Her empire of curated lies collapsed overnight. The influencer friends she once adored cut ties, publicly calling her a fraud. Sponsors ghosted her. Her followers mocked her in comments. Where's that Park City magic queen? By February, she was working minimum wage shifts at a boutique, hiding under sunglasses whenever someone recognized her from the scandal. They each tried in their own way to crawl back to me. Dad sent an email, all businesslike, as if that would erase years of betrayal. Emily, we should talk. Perhaps we can rebuild our relationship as adults. Mom showed up at my door once more, holding a family photo like a peace offering. We can't erase what happened, honey. But can't you forgive? Family is all we have. And Claire. Oh, Claire sent me a long text one night. You don't understand what losing my online presence has done to me. I know I messed up, but we're sisters. Shouldn't sisters always be there for each other? My answers never changed. Sisters don't exile sisters from Christmas after they've paid for everything. Fathers don't steal from daughters. Mothers don't weaponize guilt to cover lies. They had chosen entitlement over love, deceit over truth, appearances over me, and now they were living with the cost. For me, the cost was freedom. I poured the money I once wasted on their crises into something real. I set up a scholarship fund for underprivileged kids in my city, the kind of teenagers who reminded me of myself at 23, working hard and visible, praying someone would notice. Watching the first recipients get their acceptance letters to college lit something in me that no luxury cabin ever could. Because here's the truth. I learned you cannot buy love. You cannot bribe respect. And you cannot trade your worth for a seat at a table where you are only valued for what you provide. For years, I thought if I just gave enough, they would finally see me. But you don't earn visibility in the eyes of people committed to keeping you invisible. You don't earn love from those who only understand control. What you can do is choose where your energy flows. You can choose to stop watering weeds and start planting something that grows. That Christmas, I didn't lose a family. I lost a set of illusions. And in their place, I found something stronger, the power to define myself without their approval. I sat alone on New Year's Eve watching fireworks crack across the sky. For once, I didn't feel lonely. I felt free. Free of the weight of their expectations, free of the guilt they wielded like chains. The silence wasn't punishment anymore. It was peace. And if there's one lesson I want anyone listening to this story to remember, it's this: family is not defined by blood. It's defined by respect, by honesty, by mutual care. Without those, family is just a word people use when they want to own you. So if you're listening and you feel invisible in your own home, I want you to hear me. You are not selfish for stepping away. You are not cruel for drawing boundaries. You are not wrong for saying enough. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is refuse to play a role in someone else's illusion. That's what I did, and it saved me. Have you ever felt like your family only saw you for what you could give, not for who you are, like your hard work and sacrifices were invisible until you finally said enough? Tell me in the comments. I'd love to hear your story. And if you want more raw, real family betrayal stories, make sure to like this video and subscribe for the next one.